Okay, so considering everything we've been talking about, do you think we should even risk it? Like, should we basically just put on the brakes and say, like, there's too much risk involved in creating an ASI that we should just not do it?
I mean, so AI is going to be hugely beneficial for us in terms of ANI and possibly towards AGI stuff in the future. It
already is massively beneficial.
And is going to be a necessity for human development in the future anyway. The problem is there's always that risk that it's inadvertent that we create an ASI through some self-learning thing. Should we actively stop pursuing those types of things? I mean, we shouldn't obviously try and rush into it. We should try as hard as we can to make like a concerted effort to do it properly.
Which involves taking very seriously the concept of potentially a really bad outcome of AI, and putting a lot of research and time to working out how to mitigate that risk.
But I think there is a valid argument to say that we there's like an agreed upon limit of like, I don't know, you could do it with some maybe in the future a type like a version of integrated information theory or something. Like you're not allowed to take it past like a phi level.
Yes. That would be really nice to have that as like a limit. But we might not get to a point where we can understand what phi is, or even if integrated information before we've already passed a singularity or passed like an intelligence explosion. Yeah. We might not get the choice basically to be able to do that. Or just then, so given now that we recognise that there is possibly like a huge risk from creating an AI, does it make sense to be like, right, forget that? It's just too much of a risk. Like
actively, so you're saying just because obviously there's a possibility we do it inadvertently, but
well, that's the thing. I mean, really, what I'm going to come round to saying, and I'll say it now, is that that's probably not possible. No, but it's possible to say don't actively develop it. Yes.
Like we shouldn't actively develop it. There's a possibility maybe that it can happen accidentally, but like the higher chances that it can happen with us deliberately trying to develop it. So should we in that scenario then say we should not pursue any research that's going to directly lead us to that? It should be an agreed upon thing that it's a bad idea. Yeah. Until we know for sure how to do it,
which might be never.
We
might actually. The paradox is that we might actually need something that's capable of superintelligence to be able to work out how to build like a friendly superintelligence, which is the kind of the paradox of it. Like it might be such a hard problem to solve. So
that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I don't know like whether it's not going to happen accidentally, as you said, as we kind of covered in the last episode. It's probably quite unlikely to just randomly happen accidentally by mushing together some parts of like things that are just doing other bits and pieces, and they come together and just happen to become super intelligent. Sure. But I think it's sort of inevitable that it will happen, just through
because someone's going to break the rules.
No, because it's always going to be a need for more complex systems to control what we do. So gradually, as complexity is built, we'll try and build ways of maximizing the efficiency of the complexity and
that's what I mean by accidentally creating it, though. That like
maybe what I'm saying is that maybe it's not so unlikely that it can be accidentally created. It's not accidental in the sense that like whoops, like I've just created it.
No, there might be like a natural evolution towards it. And then it jumps over it. Like we were saying last time, a module gets plugged in that like takes it over a threshold and it goes a bit mad. But what I'm saying is that's potentially that won't happen with just like a shitload of ANI systems mangled together. Probably it's going to have like a very specific like type of development that.
So we're basically saying we're putting a ban on all kinds of development that could be considered
high risk for creating an ASI.
Maybe that is a good idea.
Until we understand how to do it properly. So like things like DeepMind are obviously fine, and these types of things. And obviously there's like they could move on to do something like that way in the future. At the moment there's no risk of them like one of those game systems just sort of like upping and turning into Pac-Man and eating the world or something. Yeah. But like maybe a version of those could in the future.
Yeah.
And I know the people at DeepMind are keen to do it ethically and not use it for military stuff, and I'm sure they're not up for destroying the world, and it doesn't seem like
I think their goal is to basically try and work out how to do it in a how to use AI in a good way, like how to
they want to use it for like doing all sorts of things such as database, looking at things in database. Like AIs are amazing at picking out patterns and things in large sets of data that humans can't see, and all sorts of stuff like that. So they want to use those self-learning things to do like large data set analysis and stuff, and then further into the future more advanced things. Yeah. But a lot of those systems are probably not going to result in like the inadvertent ASI thing. It's going to have to be like we were saying before.
Something that's been
the development path is different between running certain things like lots of ANI systems and an ASI system that has a very specific like neural connection strengthening kind of
you may
have to find that that's a necessity to develop things, and you have to go in that direction because you have to do self-learning
just by
solve more complex problems.
Solving complex problems like crunching data for like biomedical studies that include like giant like genomic surveys and stuff like that, or like climate studies that are ridiculously complex. We've gone as far as we can with classical narrow intelligence stuff. We need to in order to exploit the data more and build better models to help us like survive better and predict things better and exploit our environment better, we need to design a slightly different type of system.
And it just ends up eventually becoming recursively self-improving.
Exactly. We need to give it this ability to do this, and then eventually that ends up being recursively self-improving. And because thing is, like, under those, we could have a society in which we ban things like that happening, but then we
obviously lose the development input from that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tricky. There must be a way.
I feel like banning things like that is going to possibly postpone it, but I think eventually it will sort of break through the cracks somehow eventually.
Maybe. If it's going to happen, it will happen.
Yeah.
Moore's law.
Yeah. I mean...
Not Moore's law.
Murphy's law.
Murphy's law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. So should we risk it? I think we possibly don't have a choice, really. I think there is probably a good argument that you could put forward to say we shouldn't risk it, and that we should absolutely ban it because of its possible danger. It's possibly more dangerous than, climate change, meteor impacts.
It seems like it's easier to screw it up, than it is to do it right.
Yeah. So
So
there's a good argument to put forward for banning it, but I don't know if we can. I don't know if that's a thing that's possible, short of like just returning ourselves somehow to the Dark Ages and just being like that's it with technology. Because people are always going to find a way to like develop technologies, better and better systems for doing things, and that's what's going to end up leading to it eventually.
Yeah.
And by banning, the problem is by banning research, thinking by doing that you're mitigating risk. What you actually end up doing is banning the very research that might help us survive it or plan for it better.
Yes. Well, the point is that you that you would ban it until you think you can understand it better.
Yeah.
The point is that it's that one trick, it's that one attempt thing is the problem.
Yeah.
Is that you don't get two shots at it.
No.
Probably. So I think the more I think about this, my natural instinct with this sort of thing is to be just like, let's just do it, because it sounds like awesome. It sounds like, oh man, it might be so crazy if the future changes in such a big way. Imagine all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, what else are we going to do otherwise? We're just sitting here.
Yeah. The idea of the world like fundamentally changing in our lifetimes is just like,
it's too exciting.
It's too exciting. Even if it ends up being bad, like, something about it that's like, it's kind of fascinating. Like, just bring it on. Like, I want to see what happens.
But then the other part of me is the more I read about it, the more I'm kind of not sure. If I try and strip away that excitement and kind of think about it more carefully, it does seem like it's
a pretty terrifying thing.
Bad.
So it's possibly we may have said this earlier, but it's possibly like the biggest existential risk that we face.
Yeah.
because of its potential,
it's super
rapid, and total annihilation like consequences that it might carry.
The other thing is that to totally mitigate existential risk, which is basically like a risk that would wipe out the entirety of humanity completely, is that definite, or does it change humanity irrevocably?
Existential risk.
Yeah,
I think there are degrees of existential risk that some of them don't require the entire like death of everybody.
Okay, but in any way, to mitigate existential risk, we may require an ASI.
Yeah.
To mitigate loads of other types of existential risk that we're facing. So maybe we need it in that sense anyway. That we're going to have to make this jump at some point, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Like to solve problems like climate change on a catastrophic scale or meteor impacts. I mean, all of these things. Yeah. Meteor impacts is probably quite easy to solve without an ASI, so that's not bad.
I mean, climate change, borderline, not that.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how bad it gets, but
it's possible that moving into the far future, that you need something like an ASI to safeguard us against whatever
to truly mitigate existential risk. You might have to have an ASI,
which in itself could be a horrendous existential risk.
Yeah, well, which in itself is the solution, or it's the end point of existential risk. It either is the ultimate existential risk or it stops all existential risk.
Yeah.
So I think we should just I agree with you. I don't think it's possible to really ban the research totally. There might be some way of I mean, I don't know much. I don't know enough about like algorithms and the types of things they use in these systems that might lead down an ASI route, but there might be like a family of them that they start developing that seems like it's got like a higher risk than anything else, and we might put like a 5-year ban on it until we understand like what that. Yeah,
I think that actually probably is a good idea. Doing things like that to slow down. I think it might be a bad idea to say, okay, that's it. We're never going to develop this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This kind of technology.
Yeah.
Let's just like put it in a box and forget about it because it's never going to happen. Because eventually that box will open somehow.
Yeah.
And at that point, we won't have the knowledge and the research from having studied it. But maybe what is a better idea is like banning the use of, again, like certain families of systems, whatever, that potentially have some risk of leading to like a recursive self-improving AI for now, until we can
be sure
have more of an understanding of how these things might impact society.
But the one thing I keep thinking though is like I don't want to die before it happens.
Yeah.
Because if they ban it for like 15, 20 years and it's like 2070, 2080, 2090, I'll probably be dead in.
Yeah.
If it's a normal like human lifetime.
And you just got to freeze your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. So, should we do it, Mark? What do you reckon?
Should we what? Should we build an ASI or should we ban an ASI? What's the question?
Should we ban ASI research at any point? Do you think?
I don't know if ban is the right word. Okay, no.
Okay, yeah, I think my answer's probably the same.
Shit,
is it the same? Yeah. We shouldn't because we need to learn.
We need to know. We absolutely should be taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
And putting a lot of resources into understanding.
Because there's so much benefits that
because
it's going to
come quickly.
Yeah.
If you listen to what people are saying, it's going to come quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, so we should understand like these families of algorithms and things. We should be putting absolutely like so much stuff into this at the moment.
So much more than it is put into it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the groups that do work on it are kind of like non-profit, like research institutes and stuff like that. That aren't like very well funded or anything. They just sort of do the work, for fun, not for fun, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like this should be a huge initiative, like across the board. Like almost every country should be like piling money into.
Yeah, and people and talent.
And presumably that will happen.
It
just might be slightly too late when people start realising that it is a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like climate change and the ozone hole and all these other things that we sort of realised we were making a bit of a mess up of.
So kind of backpedal a bit.
And then we start backpedaling a bit and maybe we can do something about it. We get one shot.
Yeah, this is it. Probably. That's it. Yeah.
So
not an absolute ban, but some control. Maybe some control on the development and use of certain systems now. underpinned by a shitload of research.
Yeah, just the more we know, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I just had a thought, actually. We're talking about like whether we should do it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like if you've got like an ASI or that's like an Oracle or an AGI, I suppose, like a human level thing. Well, that's capable of human intelligence. Is that cruel? Is it like, is there any ethical issues with developing something like that?
Just by creating
it becomes
it in the
like
first
self-aware,
place.
And then it's like, surely there's not an ethical issue.
Just having a shit time.
Yeah, but it should. Surely there's not an ethical issue with creating it in the first place. As in.
Well, maybe there is. Maybe if it's going to have a conscious experience, and you can't guarantee that it's not going to be in pain in some way, then maybe that is. It would kind of fall under the brackets of like doing experiments on like intelligent animals or something, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're more intelligent.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, an ASI is not going to let you, if it's in pain, it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, an ASI is sort of a different, maybe a different matter. I'm thinking kind of like an AGI, like a human level intelligence. If you could create that, and to all intents and purposes, it was, self-aware to the same extent.
It might be as intelligent as capable as a human, but it might not have the emotional kind of baggage and pain baggage and these kinds of things.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's a tricky one.
So it's not really a human.
It's not a human. No, that's right.
It's not like you've made a human.
It's a mistake to think of it like.
Although if you did try and copy a human brain and simulate and like emulate it perfectly, that you wouldn't get like a human you recognise, but you might end up with something that does feel like it feels pain. Anyway, I mean that's a whole like moral kind of minefield and things. People developing new types of AGI are not going to be constrained by that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean we don't even know what we're going to be making.
But it might even if it's not a human, if it's not like similar to human, even if it's built on totally different architecture from a human brain and it has a kind of human level intelligence, but nothing that we would recognise as human, it still might realise the situation that it's in, like say that it's a captive essentially.
Yeah, as a slave.
Yeah, and try and do something about that. I don't know.
Yeah, if you put it into
maybe even that is putting is like projecting a human trait onto it. Like the desire to escape captivity is like a human trait.
I mean, it might not be even if it's on the internet, then it'd be loving it.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
If you put it in like a robot body,
and it'd be loving it.
If you put it in a robot body,
yeah,
people might sort of empathise with it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen any of those Boston Dynamic videos where there was a recent one with the new Atlas robot? It's like lifting stuff up, and the guy's like knocking the boxes out of its hands
and like pushing it over,
pushing it back. And your natural instinct is to go, stop!
Yeah, don't be a dick.
You can't be a dick to the Atlas robot, and the Atlas robot's like looking around for its box. It's like you could see yourself becoming emotionally attached to,
even though that is just like an autonomous. It's just there's no like.
It's no different from a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a TV or something.
Yeah. Even though that, just because it looks a bit like a person,
it's like
immediately empathizing with it.
Yeah,
like imagine if they put like a little like face on it that had like a smiley face, and then when you push it went sad. You'd be like, oh fucking hell, leave it alone.
Sorry. And also if it was an AGI type thing, if anyone's ever seen Ex Machina.
Yeah, I mean I was thinking about that as you were talking about it a second ago.
Where there's a like an android-y, robot-y AI thing in that, and it's very easy to identify with it because it has like a human face.
That's kind of the concept of the film in a way.
Yeah.
Like
it's an awesome film. If you're interested in AI, you have to go and see that.
It's very
like
good.
A sort of almost AGI level AI about that kind of thing and like how people might interact with it. It's really cool. Really good film. Well worth a watch.
Yeah.
So you can see people becoming emotionally attached to a machine that has like no, doesn't reciprocate that emotional attachment or anything.
Yes.
But
it's just the human is just reading like the thing's just giving the body language the responses that the human would expect to see. So the human reads everything off of that.
Yeah.
And doesn't actually understand what's going on in the mind
standard
itself.
Human necessity for empathy to understand other social animals.
Yeah,
is put,
and that film addresses like things, issues to do with what we were talking about with like potential issues of captivity and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah,
in like designing an AI.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually it's quite an interesting film along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're interested in AI, go watch that.
Check it out.
Is there anything else we want to talk about? So I think we'll finish on the overall thing is should we not develop AI? I think the general consensus is that we should and absolutely be going down that road and looking at it very carefully, but being very cautious and really thinking extremely hard about how to do it and if we should do it if we don't think it's safe.
I think the overriding.
We need more information.
The overriding things I think that we've arrived on after all this chatting is that it could potentially be like either really, really good or really, really bad, but that making it really, really good is possibly very, very difficult.
Yes.
To the point of being nearly impossible.
Maybe.
So
we should be putting all the talent we can.
All the talent that we can, all the resources we can into trying to understand this problem before we get to it. Yeah. So what we don't want to happen is just like to hit that wall and go hit the singularity without realising what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.